What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're mainly going to talk about the manga cards in One Piece and their performance over the past month. I have finished the spreadsheet update, so if you're in there, you can go look at all the numbers. The data is coming from TCG Player, but there are a couple other things I want to talk about. The first being Romance Dawn white bottom booster boxes, so wave 2 onwards. These $662 on TCG Player. However, we just saw sales over the past 48 hours, $797.97, basically $800. Then we had another one, $799.96 and $799.99 from today, November 2nd. So 3 sales at basically $800. It's crazy how fast these white bottoms are climbing. The blue bottoms, we've kind of seen them stagnate around $3,000 USD, which makes sense. I mean, those went on a massive run this year, basically 3x'd in price. However, the white bottoms didn't move as much until maybe a couple months ago. And a lot of stores, even here in Canada, I know 401 Games, maybe like 2 weeks ago, had boxes up for $800 Canadian plus tax. So I think that's probably like 670 USD in that range. They're now up to, I believe, $900 or $1,000. Like, they continue to raise it. And I think I talked about this like maybe a few videos back. Since then, they've raised another $100. I can't remember exactly what they're at now, if it was $7.99, then to $8.99. I think it's $9.99 now. Either way, the stores, at least in my country, that have remaining white bottoms are moving their price up. So keep an eye on these going forward. Maybe we'll get to $1,000 before the end of the year. I doubt it, but that would be definitely a crazy feat. And then also EBO2, just checking the price on these. We're now up to around $240 on TCG Player. That's a fairly big deal. At the low after release, these were in like the 170s. So we've already seen almost a 50% increase in price from the low this year. EBO2 just continuing to churn through the remaining supply. I do think it's going to be a while before we see this box hit like $300, $350. Going to take longer than EBO1 in my opinion, but still a really strong set, and it's doing its thing. Now, to get into the manga cards, again, I'm not going to go through every single card in this video, but there is a trend that I want to point out. So over the past maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks at this point, a lot of the manga cards have grown in price. I mean, the raw Monkey D. Luffy went from like 2400. We're now back over $3,000 again. The Gold Roger still sitting around $3,000 even after the reprint or restock of 09 we got. The EBO2 Luffy, I mean, that's gone up a lot as well. Now sitting, I think, 3.5K, 3.6K. in a PSA 10, but a lot of the conversation is on the more expensive manga cards and basically what their PSA 10 rate is, whereas a lot of the cheaper manga cards don't really get a lot of attention, and part of that is my fault. I probably discuss the more expensive ones a little bit more than some of the cheaper ones. I think part of that is just my interest and also just general interest from the public. But if you guys remember, when I made a video talking about the bull run in Pokemon and how those cards in Pokemon that perform the best normally weren't the most expensive, that's basically the same thing we've been seeing, at least with the raw price, in the One Piece manga card. So for example, over the past month, the best performing manga card was actually the Trafalgar Law manga from Royal Blood. This was up about 43%. We're now sitting around $500 raw. This was actually a card that last month got pushed out of the top 20 in terms of price, excluding the premium reprints, so like your Luffy, your Zoro, etc. And I think at its low, like 6 months ago, this was a sub $300 card, or very close to it. You definitely saw some sales creeping in there, especially for some light blades, but we're now back to about $500. I don't think it's going to go much higher in the short term, but still, that is a massive run on the Law. And it's not just the Law that's done well. The Jewelry Bonnie manga, surprisingly, was the second best performing manga card over the past month. This was up 36.23%, sitting around $600 raw. Out the gate, this was like $400. And again, a lot of the time after cards release, they tend to go down in price just because more come to market. So those initial sales, there's a lot of people that want the card and there's only a few on the market. Obviously, those are going to go for more than when there's, say, like 100 copies on the market and there's not as many people who want it. But the release of OP12 kind of coincided with the rise in popularity of investing into One Piece and also just collecting. So that's kind of why we're seeing Jewelry Bonnie pick up. And there's going to be another manga we talk about as well, kind of in the same boat. The Luffy, I guess you could also count the Luffy because OP11 came right before OP12. It's a little bit older, but still, this is another card out the gate that was like 400 bucks. Kind of figured you would see it drop a little bit, maybe into the high 300s, but it's gone the other way. We're now up to around $680, $670 raw. I think the latest PSA 10 sale we saw yesterday was $1,725. So very expensive PSA 10. This was up 30.33% over the past 28-day period. And every time I talk about this card, I kind of kick myself just because I was planning to buy some of these if it dropped into like the 360, 350 range. It never really got there. It was a little bit off that at the low. So I didn't actually pick any of these up, but I know some people who are buying even at like $400, $425 that have probably a fairly large position now of PSA 10s and who have done very well grading that. Now also the Boa Hancock, this one's up around 27% over the past month. This really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, I don't think, with EBO3, the hype building for that, knowing that the SPs are coming. And a lot of the Boa Hancock SPs just in general from like 04 and then 09 have been doing great. The Manga as well is doing decently, not as well as those cards, but still holding up relatively well. And then the final card I wanted to bring up was the Sanji, and this is kind of where I was referring to the Manga cards of new sets tending to go down in price after release as more come to market. The Sanji, that has absolutely not happened. We're now up to around $1,100, $1,200, somewhere in that range. And this was a card right after release that I think was close to like $900, $925. I'm actually curious if recent sales, even higher it seems, almost $1,300 over the past 48 hours on this Sanji. And I think we did have one PSA 10 sale that I made note of in the spreadsheet. I think it was somewhere near the mid 2000s, maybe a little bit higher than that. And again, this is a card that you probably would have expected to come down in price after release. Maybe if it started out at 900, it would come down to like $700, something like that. But again, just with the increase in popularity for One Piece in general, but also some of these PRB sets and the EBO1, EBO2 sets, you haven't seen that happen yet. Maybe it'll happen in the future, but I honestly doubt it at this point. And PRBO2 in general, I think is performing a lot better than most people expected. The box price on TCG Player has been all over the place. It's really annoying to me. I mean, there was days it was up to around 180 bucks. I think in general though, we've moved from maybe like $158 up to around 165 now over the past like 3 weeks. I think that's the more realistic numbers we should be looking at, not these couple of spikes here. I think as time does its thing, we're just going to see this box continue to climb. There are a lot of really strong cards in this set. I've had a lot of people ask me questions about like, should I hold this card? I've had people say they opened the Gold Dawn Nami. I think someone said they pulled like the Shanks Dawn as well, asking whether they should hold or sell. I'm probably not as bullish on the Gold Dawns as other people. Sure, they're going to have value out the gate, but when we look at the appreciation of a lot of them, they just haven't done as well compared to some of the other places you can put your money. And then also, if there is reprints in the future, which again, premium booster, Bandai has shown that they don't really want to reprint them yet. So it's not like it's a super likely thing. But if they do reprint PRBO2, the booster box, it's not the cards in another set, like the actual booster box, you could see the price of these come down. So I would probably sell a lot of the Gold Dawns if I pulled them. If you want to hold them for your collection though, that's something completely different. I think some of them look awesome. I really like the Shanks. I like the Pudding as well from PRBO2. It seems like the Yamato is super popular, and Nami, of course, I mean, is always going to be up there, but I really like the manga event rares. I mean, Gum Gum Giant, you have the My Era Begins with Blackbeard. I like the Cross Guild probably the most, but the Shanks one is pretty sick as well. So I think there's a little bit for everyone in this set, and we haven't even discussed a lot of the other SPs and alternate arts. So I am really bullish on PRBO2, but I think that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video, is that when it came to the best performing mangas, at least over the past 6 weeks, month or so, it hasn't been the most expensive ones. Now, you could argue when it comes to the PSA 10 rate, probably the Luffy's and Gold Rogers have seen the largest increase in price, but even like the Sabo and the Soga King, you're still fairly close to a double up in my opinion on those. So I don't think people should be beating themselves up too bad about this. Again, like the ultimate goal with investing into One Piece and other TCGs is just to make money, right? If we're investing, you want your money to grow over time. So if you bought anything basically from the summer lows, you're doing great. And that's really all that matters at the end of the day. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you did get some value out of this, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below for the algorithm as well. It does help out a ton. This channel would be absolutely nothing without you guys showing your support day in and day out. Also, if you are shopping eBay TCG Player Hobbiesville, again, no pressure at all, but if you are planning to shop, I have affiliate links down below. They're free and easy to use. All you have to do is click on it before you do your shopping. I'll get a small percentage of the sale at no extra cost to you, so it's a free and easy way to support the channel. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world. I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one.